All right. Are we live? I hope we're live. Uh, yeah, I'm getting started. It's been a while since I've done a live. I think about a week, and I was changing cities, and I hope the audio is working. um, but here we go. And tonight I'm going to do a reading on kind of Europe in the winter, because I've looked before at the Ukraine war. I've looked at Vladimir Putin. I've looked at this is such a non-ideal um, streaming setup I have right now, but it's the quietest it's gonna be because I don't know. This doesn't matter. Anyways, let's get started because I don't want to stay on long tonight. um, for numerous reasons, not the least of which is that my computer is not plugged in. It's just it's on battery, and I'm running this microphone on phantom power. So let's do it. So where do we begin? Why don't I take a look first? Nobody's here right now, so I can just kind of warm up and wake up. For those of you watching this later after the fact, it's just whenever I haven't done these in a while, I feel so out of practice. So anyways, I guess I don't need headphones because nobody's really talking to me. Yeah, so people are starting to show up, I guess, maybe. And if so, welcome back. Oh, thanks, Christy. Yeah, you're the first. I was saying that I haven't streamed in a while, and I'm in a new city now. I'm in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia still, and yeah, it's taken me a while to get. I just had a lot to do, and I needed a vacation, but I'm back. And if you or anyone else has questions relating to this topic, as always, feel free to chime in. I think, where will I begin? So, I want to look at, I want to look at the general state of the Ukraine war, its effect on the winter in Europe, and I want to look at how's that going to affect heating bills? How's that going to affect the average person, like in the winter? Is there gonna be like people freezing? Is this like how bad a winter is this gonna be even in terms of climate? And I want to also look at um, kind of like, can we expect the Ukraine war to spill over into anywhere else beyond Ukraine? And yeah, so like I've been saying, I'm kind of out of practice with these, so bear with me. Oh, we have another comment. Thank you. Yeah, hi Lisa. And I hope you guys can hear me okay. I'm kind of in an unusual setup, so if there's any issues, just let me know. And otherwise, feel free to chime in with questions or what have you. And yeah, why don't I begin with, where shall I begin? Let's see, like the earlier readings that I did seemed to indicate that the war would be kind of changing in a very drastic way in February, March area. I want to see if that still holds, if that's still the general energy that I'm getting, because I've done it in a few different readings, and it always showed up that oh, audio is great, excellent. That that the war would be some kind of change, and I'm hoping it's a cessation of the war, an end of the war. But let's see what kind of energy we can see coming up by the end of winter. We have a new spring. So what kind of, let me see, I want to check the stream health. This is my first time streaming at this. It says good. I would prefer excellent, but okay, we'll deal with good, and hopefully the video and audio will be okay. All right, so the possibility of the war changing or ending, what's the energy relating to that by the end of winter? I'm seeing, interesting. So I'm seeing the Five of Pentacles, and the Five of Pentacles it's usually like a kind of a bleaker energy. I don't know if I don't feel like it's quite the end of a war. It feels more like just like something kind of burning out. Let me read again, because I feel like I'm like I said, I'm a little out of practice, and I can totally tell when I'm out of practice because my readings just don't feel as confident or as solid, and I'm not as I don't feel the energy quite as clearly and quite as immediately. But let me read again and say, like, can we expect the war to end by the end of March, for example? I may have to come back to this one because, okay, let's see what I got. Yeah, I'm getting an up. This is what I call the up in the air card, which is, yeah, Eight of Wands, which is things are in taking action and happening, but it's not really clear. It's very, this is like one of the most ambiguous cards out there and undetermined cards. So I think I'm going to hold off on that for now. Let's look at the overall severity of the winter in Europe this year. Was it going to be like really horrible, really freezing, or is it going to be mild? Lisa asks, will the British monarchy survive the mudslinging by Harry and Meghan? Yeah, we could look at that. Let me, actually, that's good. That does tie into surviving the winter. I'm gonna hold off though at the moment. I'll get to that though by the end. I think that's a great question. I haven't been following the Royals news much, so I kind of know a little about it, but I haven't. I don't know the precise details, but that's okay. I think that's your question. The way you phrased it and worded it is good enough that I can read on it, and I will before the end of this. Okay, so let's look first at the severity of the winter this year in Europe. What level of severity? And I'm seeing okay. I'm seeing a Six of Wands. I feel like this is. I feel like it's going to be an average winter. I don't think it's going to be an extremely cold winter, and I don't think it's going to be, a warm winter. I think it's going to be just an average winter, and yeah, I don't see. This doesn't indicate anything extreme to my feeling. Um, let's look though at the overall gas prices and heating prices that the average person can be expecting. And if there's any specific areas, I know some countries, I mean, every country has their own pricing policy and their own supply system, but if you have any specific countries you'd like me to look at, I can do that. But I'm going to look first at the general energy relating to heating bills and so on in the winter. And I'm seeing, maybe I'll zoom in on Germany because that's a country that we've been hearing a lot about. This card is showing up again. A five of Pentacles, which is pretty interesting relating to heating prices, because I mean this is basically people out in the cold. They're shivering and it's not looking very good. So I think overall the prices are going to remain pretty high through the winter, and people are basically going to be kind of having to make that choice between whether they want heat or they want to pay massive prices for the heating bills, which is obviously a choice nobody wants to make. So yeah, unfortunate that I think heating bills are going to basically overall be very high throughout the winter through all of Europe. I wanted to take a step back and look at the war now, the possibility of it spreading beyond Ukraine. Is that still possible? And possibility of the war spreading beyond Ukraine, which would obviously have an effect on Europe. I should look again too at the possibility of nuclear weapons before the end of this war, because that would certainly affect all of Europe, if not physically through radiation and fallout, through at least psychologically. So, but first I'm looking at the possibility of the war spreading beyond Ukraine. I'm seeing a Knight of Wands card, which is, I think this goes back to what I've seen with my readings on Putin, that he in his mind is prepared to do, like he still is like, sees himself as the major power handling the situation. And my cards are talking. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, but okay. Yeah, maybe I'm getting warmed up, or maybe you're actually hearing. You may hear voices, because I don't know. I'm in a kind of a noisy. Even though I'm on the 22nd floor, maybe you're hearing voices through the walls. It's quite possible in this hotel. It's pretty noisy. I'm doing it in here in the bedroom because I have a great table out there and a great setup. But the problem is there's like a hall, and it's like noisier than it should be. So I'm working with what I have. Anyways, cards are falling. Talking. Chair's talking now. All right. So, oh yeah. So I was saying though, with that Knight of Wands card, for the question I was looking at, the possibility of the war spreading beyond, Ukraine, is that Putin still sees in his mind that possibility that he is like this tiger, or this emperor, or this force that is capable of doing anything and lashing out and unleashing this mighty power. So, but will it spread beyond? I think that, again, that's coming back to how I know Putin wants to end the war, obviously. Zelensky wants to end the war, but they both are very stubborn in their positions, and neither wants to back down. So, but does Putin possibly see spreading the war beyond Ukraine to his benefit? Oh my God, this card showed up again. So, what happens when this happens, when I see this in a reading, when a card shows up again and again like this, it means that this is kind of like the very dominant energy. And this has shown up 3 times in this reading, which is, that's pretty statistically unusual in a 78 card tarot deck for one card to show up 3 times. I don't know what the odds are on that. Is it 178? I think it's very high. It's a very high probability. A very low probability. That's pretty incredible. So I'm just basically seeing that this overall state of this very, cold, very suffering winter, and everybody's suffering. Like Putin, the Russians, Ukraine, the rest of Europe, everybody's just suffering in this kind of. But it's not a high energy suffering. It's a very like a frozen, frozen is a great image because of all this cold, a very frozen state of suffering in which people are just like stagnating in the ice. And so I'm hoping though that means that it's not going to be a lot of movement, like that Knight of Wands is that energy with Putin, how he wants to see himself as this force that wants to lash out. But I think being able to melt out of that ice is not going to necessarily happen. Yeah, I think it's amazing that card's showing up 3 times. That's very unusual. If it shows up again, I'll scream, but let's see what happens. Okay, so I was going to look at, I do want to get back to the question about the royals. But there's a few more related to the nuclear weapons. I was going to look at that. Let's look at the possibility of nukes still in use before the end of this thing, which again nobody wants, but I don't know how nukes accidentally get fired, but except in like a Doctor Strangelove sort of way. But yeah, let's see. So the possibility of nuclear weapons, that would certainly heat up Europe. this winter. I still haven't gotten a clear answer on whether this war is going to end. When I did the readings before, I did get clearer visions, but the energies are always in flux, and I'm going to read again on it before this is over. But first I want to look at the possibility of nuclear weapons at this moment, between now and the end of winter. All right. Okay, it's not the Five of Pentacles, fortunately. Three of Wands is usually a card about that's like seeing possibilities and seeing that anything is possible. But in this situation, I don't see it as like somebody feeling threatened enough to use nuclear weapons. It doesn't strike me, and it doesn't feel like a situation where you're attacking. It feels more like you're holding a weapon. He's holding the wand. That's like Putin holding the nuclear weapon, saying like, I've got this, I can use this at any time. But unless he feels like Russia itself is being attacked, I don't see that happening. So I'm seeing that, like I said, unless Russia itself becomes like a direct target, and it doesn't seem likely. Nuclear weapons still seem generally off the table between now and the end of winter. Okay, let's take a look again at my reading about this end of winter thing, this energy about whether the war will end by the end of winter, or what will happen by the end of winter, what this energy shift that I was seeing before that I'm not I haven't seen it so much in this readings today, but let's see. Okay, so I'm seeing the Tower. So the Tower is about the unexpected and some major shift in energy, definitely. Lisa is asking or commenting that Putin would always say that he would never strike first. So that seems to be still the case. So the Tower, though, so that's interesting, because the Tower is about like the unexpected, some event or something happening that really changes the whole paradigm of a situation and puts things in a new light and sends things in a new direction. It can be good, it can be bad. But it usually defies expectations. So again, like with that card with the wands that were up in the air, it's very difficult to see through the Tower and see what's going to happen. All you know is that it's going to be unexpected, and it's going to be a major shift in energy and direction. So that's all I feel like I can say about it for now. Like it resists even me looking into it, but I will look into it again in the future. All right. I think that's all I really had to say, or all the questions, major questions I wanted to look at about Ukraine and Europe. But if you have any more questions, feel free to ask. I'm going to look now at Lisa's question about the British monarchy, surviving the mudslinging by Harry and Meghan, state of the British monarchy in the near future. Let's say like the next 5 years. I don't want to look too far in advance, but I don't want to look too short term either. So British monarchy between now and 2027-ish, let's say. And another question, Chrissy says, different topic, perhaps for a different time. Have you looked at Brunson versus Adams SCOTUS case? No, I haven't. I'm not even familiar with. Like I said, this week I have not been following the news. I know there's a lot of Supreme Court rulings going on right now, but maybe if you tell me what that one refers to, I might know it by the actual which one it is. Because I've barely been following the cases, but I may recognize. I don't know the names, Brunson versus Adams, but if you tell me which case that is, I may recognize it. But that's a good idea. I may do a reading on these Supreme Court rulings, but I need to like kind of catch up on the news and see when those rulings are going to be, like what's the timeline for them, because if it's going to be tomorrow or something, maybe I won't have time. But so Yeah, so British monarchy first before the end of 2027. And by the way, I think there's like a 10-second delay on comments. Like you can't post two comments more than 10 seconds within 10 seconds of each other. I don't know. Yeah, but I still don't know which case it is. So I can Google it if you don't. Nobody answers, but yeah, I need to focus for a second. So yeah, what was I doing? The British monarchy between now and 2027. The general shape of it, general arc of it. What can we expect in terms of its longevity, its reputation, its feasibility as an institution that people care about? What is going to happen? Its respectability. Ah, 2020 presidential election. Okay. I feel like there were a few, aren't there? But I need, but maybe it might be better if I hold off at least until tomorrow or my next time I read, because if I know the details a little better, it's a little easier for me to read, I think, on it. But yeah, I will look into it though. I think that's a good idea because I know they're not just that, but maybe I'll do a general Supreme Court, the major cases that are still going to be happening this term. I don't know when they're finished for the holiday season, but I will look into that. It's a great idea. So, but I think I'm going to sign off after this reading on the British monarchy, if it ever comes. Sometimes, okay, there we go. So I'm seeing the Ace of Wands. Ace of Wands is usually, I don't see this as the monarchy going away or disappearing. Overall, this is kind of like a beginning, yeah, a new beginning. So I think in some ways that there is some new general presence to the monarchy and general stability to it. That yeah, the overall energy feels pretty solid, which is more than I would expect. So yeah, interesting. This is the kind of thing though I could do a deeper reading on, and I may in the future, that looks at a lot more detail. Um, so I may do that. I'll think about that. I'm going to write both of these down, the Supreme Court and the British monarchy, because I think they could certainly fill their own magic hour with tarot readings. All right. If that's all for tonight about Europe, if you guys don't have any more questions, immediately, I think I'm going to wrap it up. And yeah, great. Thank you guys for showing up. And it's been a while, but I hope to start doing this again. Even though I'm on the 22nd floor, I can still hear cars honking. Hope the noise has not been too bad, but I'll do my best to work with it. And yeah, thank you guys for showing up as always, and hope to see you in future tarot readings. Have a great night or morning or evening or afternoon or whatever, and I'll see you again. Bye bye.